You are going to be starved into extermination if you do not do something for yourself. The writing is already on the wall. America is already turning up the pressure. You are being replaced by other non-white people. Why are you being replaced? Because the white man has induced us into self-hatred, and in doing so, he has. Don't tell me Africa is too far. If you could only get a white girl from Africa, you would be on your 10th passport right now. Don't tell me Africa is too far. If you could only get Perm and Gucci and Louis and Ed Jordan from Africa, you Negroes would be working on your 10th passport. You would have already used up 9 passports. See, you don't want to admit you hate who you are. You don't want to admit it. You hate yourself. Today's conversation, which will be brief. Today's conversation, which will be brief, I want to talk about the insanity of the Negro integrationist personality. We have to deal with the insanity of the integrationist Negro mindset. This is something we're going to have to conquer and overcome in order to achieve full liberation. And integration is a form of insanity. The integrationist mind is a form of insanity. Despite 400 years of oppression in the West, more than 500 years of oppression in the Caribbean, nearly 1,000 years of direct or indirect oppression on the mother continent and other places, African people still have a deep abiding hope in their ability to coexist with the European power structure. We do not understand the European personality. We do not understand European psychopathology. Let me say that again. We do not understand the European personality, nor do we understand European psychopathology. But today I don't want to focus necessarily on the psychopathology of the European. The psychology of the cave-dwelling global dictator is not my agenda today. My agenda is the sickness of the African mind that believes it can coexist with the European. Now, let me first say that the only way you can coexist with the European is as a second-class citizen. There will be no coexistence with African and European unless you are a second-class citizen. In the United States, you are a second-class, and I would argue, a zero-class citizen. In the United Kingdom, you are a second-class citizen. South Africa, Australia, Brazil, wherever the European has the ability to dictate the economic and political reality of African people, you are never treated, nor will you ever be treated as an equal, because he is unable to allow the African, the original child of the planet Earth, the African, to coexist on equal terms, because he understands coexistence for the African means marginalization of the European, not by virtue of military dictatorship, but by virtue of intellectual, cultural, and genetic advantage. Whenever the African is given an equal opportunity to succeed, he always ends up on top. This is the purpose of racism. Let me say it again. Racism does not exist because white people are superior. Racism exists because Europeans understand if you give the African an equal opportunity, more often than not, he will succeed because he is the first and the original child of the Most High. Do you understand?
I'm sorry to bother you. We're going to be winterizing in the spring.
Okay.
So I don't want you.
No problem. No problem.
Sorry.
Okay, y'all gonna be sprinkling from over there. Y'all coming this?
Know, the whole park has irrigation.
Okay.
So it's my first time here, so we just gotta turn zones on.
Okay.
Until we get all the water out.
Where's the closest ones around here? You're not sure yet.
I'm not sure yet.
It's no problem. I'll be leaving in the field. It's all right.
All right, I'm sorry.
It's okay, good brother. All right. So they're gonna be cutting the water on in a minute. I might try to move on over. I may have to interrupt today's teaching. Brothers and sisters. But the point that I'm making, integrationists are mentally ill. To constantly try to force yourself into another person's reality because you're too lazy to build a reality of your own is sick. Constantly trying to force yourself into another person's reality when you are not wanted is insanity. African people must create our own reality. You cannot be a dependent on another group's reality. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey told us this. The most honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey already told you that a race that depends upon another for its existence sooner or later will die. But the entire agenda of the Congressional Black Caucus, the entire agenda of the NAACP, the entire agenda of the Urban League, the entire agenda of 99.9% of all community organizations is to beg the white man to be accepted, and it is to force you to force yourself into a place where you are not wanted, when you should be building your own reality. And the problem is that we are able to create our own reality. We do not need to be a secondary part of a European so-called civilization. We do not need to be a second part of a Chinese so-called civilization. You do not have to be the second part of a Arab civilization, a Mexican civilization. And even for you Africans who hate being African so much that you rather be counted amongst the Native Americans, even you Native American Negroes, you want to make yourself a secondary part of the Native American reality. Because I got news for you Native American Negroes. I got news for you Native American Negroes. If you think the 5 tribes are going to give you a seat at the table, you have lost your damn mind. If you think the 5 tribes are going to give you a seat at the table, you have lost your mind. If you think you're going to get a cut of those casinos and those reservations, you have lost your damn mind. You want to be a secondary part of the white man's reality. Okay? Create your own before you be starved into extermination. The black man and woman of America, the black man and woman of Europe, of Canada, of Brazil, you are going to be starved into extermination if you do not do something for yourself. The writing is already on the wall. America is already turning up the pressure. You are being replaced by other non-white people. Why are you being replaced by other non-white people? Because you are the only non-white people who cannot be deported. You cannot deport African Americans back to Africa because the white man has induced us into self-hatred. And in doing so, he has undone the natural, cultural, historical, genealogical, ancestral connection to the mother continent. Black people in America don't feel African. That's why you have all these groups trying to convince you that you're not African because they hate being black. And if you notice, the leaders of the We Ain't From Africa group, damn near everyone is a light-skinned supremacist. Let me say this again. Let me say this again. If you look at the leading proponents of the We Ain't From Africa movement, all of the leaders are light-skinned supremacists. So you should be able to understand why they want nothing to do with Africa. Because they are light enough where they think they can make it, brothers and sisters. I want you to understand, overstand, and understand me. I want you to understand, overstand, and understand me. To my light-skinned Africans, I'm not drawing a divide. We all one family. Y'all know that. My light-skinned Africans, my brown skin, tan skin, blue, black, purple, one Africa, one family, one race. The first color on the flag is red. It is the blood that makes you African, not the amount of pigmentation. We are one people, but I am making a political analysis. I am making a political analysis. When you look at the three leading We Hate Africa movements, that's what it is. To say I ain't from Africa is the same thing as saying I hate Africa. To say I ain't from Africa is the same thing as saying I hate Africa. It's the same thing. They're just taking out the word hate and they're saying ain't. They're switching out the word hate for the word ain't. You understand? So they're saying I ain't from Africa. It just means I hate Africa. That's all it means. That's all it means, brothers and sisters. Don't be misled. Don't be misled about that, okay? Don't be misled about that. All right? All of them are light-skinned. Why are you saying this, Dr. Umar? What relevance is it that all of the We Ain't From Africa Negroes are light-skinned? Because, as you know, we have a history in this country of light-skinned Africans, some of them thinking they can get by. Some of them thinking they can slide by. Some of them thinking they can, get along with the white supremacists. You see very few chocolate American Africans talking about I ain't from Africa. All of the leaders are yellow. I need you, and I'm not against that. I just want you to understand there's a reason why the leaders can all pass the brown paper bag test, because they are integrationists. They are integrationists. They are integrationists. Brothers and sisters, you have been enslaved, you have been oppressed, Jim Crowed, ignored, maligned, and yet and still you would rather wait on the white power structure. You would rather wait on the white power structure to do something for you before you do something for yourself. That is a sickness. See, we got to understand something. Post-traumatic slavery disease is real. Post-traumatic slavery disease is real. And don't tell me Africa is too far. Because if you could only get weaves in Africa, you would be on your 10th passport right now. Don't tell me Africa is too far. Because if you could only get weave from Africa, you would be on your 10th passport right now. Don't tell me Africa is too far. If you could only get a white girl from Africa, you would be on your 10th passport right now. Don't tell me Africa is too far. If you could only get Perm and Gucci and Louis and Ed Jordan from Africa, you Negroes would be working on your 10th passport. You would have already used up 9 passports. See, You don't want to admit you hate who you are. You don't want to admit it. You hate yourself. And I'm here to tell you that until you admit that you hate yourself, you will never come to grips with your problem, and you will never solve your problem. If everything you love to wear could only be purchased in Africa, your ass would be on a plane right now. So let's get over the nonsense. Let's get over the nonsense, African people. Let's get over that.